beloved classic Dennis the Menace, 1959 to 1963, brought joy and laughter to generations of viewers with its lighthearted tales and unforgettable characters. Yet behind the cheerful facade of this iconic sitcom lies a much more somber reality. Over the decades, 36 cast members who once graced the screen with their talent and charm have tragically passed away. Their deaths, some sudden, others following long struggles with illness or personal hardship, serve as poignant reminders of the fragility of life behind the camera. This tribute looks back on their lives, honoring the legacies they left behind, both on and off screen. Gloria Henry, born April 2nd in 1923, portrayed Alice Mitchell in Dennis the Menace beginning in 1959 at the age of 36. On screen, she embodied the ideal post-war American motherkind, gentle and patient. Yet offstage, Henry was known within Hollywood circles as an ambitious and often cold figure, marked by a volatile temper and exacting standards. Her marriage to architect Craig Elwood was fraught with turmoil, characterized by intense arguments and mutual betrayals, culminating in a bitter divorce and a draining custody battle that took a significant toll on her mental health. Behind the scenes, Henry garnered a reputation for diva-like behavior and was rumored to have exerted pressure to exclude younger, more talented actresses from auditions. Following her tenure on Dennis the Menace, her career sharply declined after she was blacklisted by a powerful producer, reportedly stemming from a heated confrontation during which she slapped him in response to sexist remarks. Throughout the 1970s, Henry struggled with long-term depression and an increasing reliance on tranquilizers. She passed away quietly on April 3, 2021, one day after her 98th birthday. Her private funeral was attended by only a few, marking a subdued, close to the life of an actress who was once a television icon. Herbert Anderson, born March 30, 1917, assumed the role of Henry Mitchell in the Dennis the Menace TV series, starting in 1959 at age 42. His portrayal of a calm, principled, and patient father offered a model of stability amidst the chaos of suburban family life. However, beneath this amiable screen persona, Anderson grappled with profound personal challenges. During the 1960s, he battled alcoholism, going so far as to hide whiskey in the bathroom sink to avoid detection. As Hollywood shifted toward younger talent, his career waned, leaving him feeling bitter and forgotten. His marriage deteriorated amid rumors of infidelity, and in his later years, Anderson lived reclusively in Palm Springs, avoiding old friends and undergoing therapy to confront childhood trauma stemming from a domineering father. He died quietly on June 11, 1994, at age 77 from congestive heart failure, closing the chapter on a familiar television face, ultimately abandoned by the industry that once celebrated him. Billy Booth, born November 7, 1949, began playing Tommy Anderson in Dennis the Menace at the tender age of 10 in 1959. His character was Dennis's intelligent, witty, and loyal best friend, contributing to the show's youthful appeal. Behind the scenes, however, Booth endured a troubled childhood, marked by intense parental pressure to pursue acting, which resulted in extreme stress and the development of a stutter that haunted him before every scene. After the show ended, Booth withdrew completely from the entertainment world, distancing himself from the fame that had come at great personal cost and estranging himself from his parents. He pursued a career in law, living a private life and rejecting his past celebrity status. Colleagues described him as reserved and uncomfortable with attention, with rumors surfacing of a mysterious disappearance in the 1990s amid a psychological crisis. Though briefly married, Booth lived largely in solitude and is believed to have quietly struggled with long-term depression. He died on December 31, 2006, at age 57 due to liver-related complications. His passing was marked by a private funeral, an understated end for a child star who never fully found peace. Sylvia Field, born February 14, 1901, played Martha Wilson in Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 58. On screen, she was the embodiment of sweetness, a gentle neighbor who treated Dennis like a beloved nephew. Off-screen, Field's personality was markedly different, sharp, controlling, and fiercely ambitious. Beneath her charming exterior was a strong-willed and often manipulative woman who reportedly leveraged close ties with CBS executives to influence casting and secure prominent screen time. She was frequently criticized for harshly reprimanding child actors and had a notable dispute with Gloria Henry regarding payment priority. Prior to Dennis, the Menace Field's stage career was marred by scandal after a widely publicized affair with a married Broadway director in the 1940s damaged her reputation within the arts community. Her personal life was also turbulent, with her marriage ending in the early 1950s when her husband left her for a younger actress, an episode that publicly humiliated her. Those who knew her described Field as lonely, cold, and prone to controlling relationships often laced with sarcasm and an obsession with preserving her fading youth. She died on July 30, 1998, at age 97, largely forgotten, a quiet farewell for a woman who commanded smiles on screen while hiding an iron will beneath a velvet glove. Joseph Kearns, born February 12, 1907, portrayed George Wilson in Dennis the Menace, beginning in 1959 at age 52. Renowned for his impeccable comedic timing and natural acting style, Kearns skillfully brought to life the archetypal grumpy neighbor constantly vexed by the mischievous Dennis. Yet behind his stern screen persona lay a complex and often unstable personal life. Kearns was known for extreme dietary habits, including extended periods of consuming only cabbage and frequent fasting even during filming, driven by a deep preoccupation with his physical appearance. Colleagues described him as intelligent but irritable and unpredictable, once leaving the set over a minor script change and severing communication with the director for several days. A lifelong bachelor, he lived under the influence of a controlling mother well into middle age, which further contributed to his eccentric and isolated nature. Some insiders speculated that Kearns struggled with repressed gender identity issues, a burden he never publicly addressed. On February 17, 1962, just 5 days after his 55th birthday, Joseph Kearns died suddenly from a brain hemorrhage. His death, surrounded by speculation, was believed to be connected to years of self-destructive dieting and prolonged solitude. Gale Gordon, born February 20, 1906, joined Dennis the Menace in 1962 at age 56, assuming the role of John Wilson. His portrayal of the lovable yet cantankerous neighbor, marked by sharp humor and a distinctive gruffness, reflected aspects of his own real-life personality. Celebrated for his commanding presence and distinctive voice, Gordon was also known behind the scenes for his extreme perfectionism. On one occasion, he demanded a break in filming due to the distracting squeak of a prop chair. While he avoided public scandal, several younger co-stars privately expressed frustration with his aloofness and volatile temper. Some even refused to film scenes with him because of his difficult demeanor. Following the conclusion of Dennis the Menace, Gordon's career waned as casting directors regarded him as too rigid and inflexible for evolving production styles. Privately, he lived a reclusive life with his devoted wife in Borrego Springs, California, rarely granting interviews or appearing publicly during his final 2 decades. Gale Gordon died of lung cancer on June 30, 1995, at the age of 89, leaving behind the legacy of a complex television icon respected on screen, but challenging off it. George Caesar, born July 28, 1912, portrayed Sergeant Theodore Mooney on Dennis the Menace, starting in 1960 at age 48. On screen, he embodied a stern but approachable officer, a familiar supporting role he frequently assumed throughout his career. Off-screen, however, Caesar's life was marked by instability and frustration. An ambitious actor, he continually sought leading roles, but was repeatedly typecast in supporting parts, a source of deep resentment that contributed to severe alcoholism. His outspoken disputes with producers over roles he felt demeaned his dignity eventually led to blacklisting by several major studios in the early 1950s. He publicly accused a casting director of career sabotage, an uncommon and risky stance in Hollywood's rigid system at the time. His personal life was troubled by 2 painful divorces, with the second nearly resulting in legal action due to allegations of domestic violence. In his later years, Caesar lived reclusively, battling cirrhosis and depression after a failed attempt to escape the industry by opening a small bar in Van Nuys. George Caesar died on June 13, 1979, age 66, a largely forgotten figure in the city where he once aspired to stardom. Sarah Segar, born July 1914, joined Dennis the Menace in 1962 at age 48, portraying Eloise Wilson, a gentle wife, devoted mother and patient mediator between mischievous Dennis and her hot-tempered husband. On-screen, Segar radiated grace and kindness, yet her private life was marked by quiet sorrow and emotional strain. Her marriage to actor Ezra Stone, outwardly stable, was shadowed by his infidelities. For the sake of their children, she endured the pain in silence, later describing her marriage as a performance with no applause. Professionally, Sarah lived in the shadow of her more famous sister actress, Miriam Segar, a source of ongoing insecurity and yearning for recognition. In the late 1960s, she experienced a severe mental health crisis and was reportedly treated with electroshock therapy, a family secret kept from the public. While she maintained a composed public image, close friends were aware of her deep melancholy and social withdrawal. Sarah Segar died of a brain hemorrhage on August 12, 1990, aged 76, quietly concluding a life lived with untold emotional depths beneath a calm exterior. Irene Tedrow, born August 3, 1907, appeared in Dennis the Menace in 1959, at age 52, portraying Mrs. Elkins, a character whose curious yet harmless demeanor reflected the show's gentle humor. Off-screen, Tedrow was a formidable and elusive presence. A highly trained and astute artist, she often challenged creative authority, frequently rewriting her own lines and resisting directors' instructions if she believed they undermined her performance. While respected for her extensive theater work, many television directors regarded her as difficult to work with and uncontrollable, especially during live recordings. Rumors of her biting sarcasm circulated backstage, including a notable dispute with a fellow cast member that reportedly led to a subplot being rewritten without public explanation. Tedrow never married once, stating she had no time for the trivialities of marriage, though whispers persisted of a secret long-term affair with a married playwright, a scandal that reportedly led to her temporary blacklisting from American theater companies in the early 1960s. In later years, she quietly battled chronic illnesses, particularly spinal degeneration, which caused her ongoing pain. Irene Tedrow passed away on March 10, 1995, at age 87, leaving behind a complex artistic legacy and unfinished scripts few dared to approach. Mary Wicks, born June 13, 1910, joined Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 49 as Miss Esther Cathcart, a stern character whose sharp tongue masked a caring nature. On screen, she embodied discipline and order. Off-screen, Wicks maintained a similarly disciplined persona, but was burdened by inner struggles. Though celebrated for her comedic supporting roles, she deeply resented being typecast and frequently clashed with directors whom she felt limited her acting range. Hollywood admired her wit and incisiveness, but insiders noted a bitter artist weighed down by superficial judgments. Wicks never married and instead sustained deep but turbulent friendships, most notably with Doris Day, whom she supported during Day's late-life animal hoarding scandal. Close friends believed Wicks carried a quiet loneliness, partly due to an inability to publicly acknowledge her rumored sexual orientation in an era hostile to such openness. While composed in public, she was known backstage for strictness and harshness, especially toward colleagues perceived as unprofessional. Mary Wicks died on October 22, 1995, at age 85, following surgical complications, closing the chapter on a sharp-witted woman who lived much of her emotional life in quiet seclusion. Willard Waterman, born August 29, 1914, portrayed Otis Quigley in Dennis the Menace, beginning in 1959 at age 45. On-screen, Quigley was a friendly, generous, and compassionate shopkeeper, a stark contrast to Waterman's troubled inner world. Though gaining notice as the lead in The Great Gildersleeve, after replacing Harold Perry, Waterman's career was overshadowed by relentless comparisons and public criticism. Replacing Perry subjected him to harsh scrutiny, hate mail, and ridicule that he struggled to overcome. Despite financial stability, Waterman increasingly withdrew, becoming paranoid, installing multiple locks on his dressing room and limiting social interactions. His only marriage quietly ended in the 1970s, largely attributed to his reclusive tendencies and desire for isolation. In later life, he battled hoarding disorder, living in a home neighbors described as uninhabitable due to clutter. Willard Waterman died on February 2, 1995, at age 80, having lived quietly in the shadow of a legacy he never fully embraced. Elizabeth Harrower, born May 28, 1918, appeared in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 42 as Mrs. Johnson, a gentle, calm neighbor, providing a steady presence amidst Dennis's antics. Beneath her serene exterior, Harrower was a complex and ambitious individual. Besides acting, she was a respected television scriptwriter, though she lived in the shadow of her more famous daughter, Susan Seaforth Hayes. Harrower was rumored to engage in backstage political maneuvering, reportedly rewriting scenes to enhance her daughter's screen time and using insider knowledge to undermine fellow writers. Her personal life was marked by turmoil. Her first marriage ended bitterly, and her second dissolved amid allegations of cruelty. Though never publicized, she was rumored to have had a long-term relationship with a married executive, which allegedly contributed to her quiet exclusion from several writing teams. Elizabeth Harrower died of cancer on December 10, 2003, at age 85, remembered as a quiet but influential figure, where power and emotion intersected behind the scenes. Kathleen Mulqueen, born August 6, 1899, portrayed Mrs. Mitchell in Dennis the Menace in 1961 at age 62. On screen, she embodied a warm and nurturing grandmother figure, but her personal life was marked by a series of quiet tragedies. Widowed at 40, Mulqueen single-handedly raised two sons, one of whom later became estranged and was convicted of fraud, a painful secret she guarded closely to protect her professional reputation. Her early vaudeville career was marred by exploitation at the hands of managers and rumors of relationships with married producers, scandals that lingered over her well into later years. On set, Mulqueen was known for sudden emotional outbursts and once disappeared without explanation during filming, later attributed to a nervous breakdown. She privately struggled with alcoholism, discreetly attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in Burbank under an assumed name. Although never formally blacklisted, many directors and casting agents distanced themselves due to her erratic behavior. Kathleen Mulqueen passed away on May 10, 1990, at age 90, spending her final days lonely in a nursing home, an understated end to a woman who brought warmth to the screen, but never fully found it in life. Charles Seel, born April 29, 1897, took on the role of Mr. Crinky in Dennis the Menace, beginning in 1960 at age 63. The character, a gruff and strict newspaper editor, mirrored Seel's own growing bitterness toward an industry he was part of, but never truly embraced by. Though his face was familiar to television audiences, his name seldom was fueling a quiet resentment. Seel's personal life was fraught with turmoil. A gambling addiction led to significant financial troubles, including the forced sale of his home in the 1950s and multiple lawsuits over debts. Rumors circulated of borrowing money under false pretenses and frequenting comedy clubs and speakeasies, despite having a family. On set, he was notorious for harshness toward younger actors, openly criticizing and mocking them. In 1962, a bar fight left him with a broken arm, causing a reduction in his screen time. Charles Seel died on April 19, 1980, aged 82, almost forgotten by an industry he once sought to conquer, leaving behind only a faint legacy. Lillian Culver, born December 18, 1896, portrayed Mrs. Schooner in Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 63. On screen, she exuded elegance and poise, but behind the scenes, she was known in the entertainment world as the Silent Axe. Culver governed her family with iron discipline and was reportedly estranged from her daughter following a bitter inheritance dispute. Within the film industry, she gained a reputation for orchestrating calculated backstage campaigns to remove actresses she perceived as threats. Although married, she maintained a discreet long-term relationship with a stage manager, 3 decades her junior. She was said to keep a black book of grudges and grievances, which she used as a manipulative tool to dominate rivals and influence casting decisions. Though never publicly embroiled in scandal, her polished image and connections with Hollywood elites shielded the covert tactics she employed throughout her career. Lillian Culver died on September 23, 1999, at age 103, remembered publicly for her grace, but whispered about privately for the fear she inspired behind the scenes. Lawrence Haddon, born October 25, 1922, appeared as Charles Brady in Dennis the Menace in 1961 at age 39. His character provided a foil to Dennis's chaos, embodying order and precision, and often appearing bewildered by the boy's antics. Haddon's real life was far more complex and tumultuous. Despite a solid television career, he faded after the 1970s amid growing bitterness and mental health struggles. Close associates revealed he battled undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which led to mysterious absences on set and strained his marriage. While no official allegations of domestic violence exist, late-night calls concerning family disturbances caused concern among those close to him. Devoted to his craft, Haddon maintained a calm exterior, but suffered severe inner turmoil. As Hollywood's focus shifted to younger talent, he became increasingly isolated and spent his final years battling Lewy body dementia, losing his ability to speak and recognize loved ones, an ironic fate for a man once known for his composure and eloquence. Lawrence Haddon died on May 10, 2013, at age 90. Charles Lane, born January 26, 1905, portrayed Lawrence Finch in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 55. Known for his stern demeanor and dry delivery, Lane frequently played gruff authority figures, a persona that closely mirrored his off-screen character. A perfectionist to an extreme, he often challenged directors with meticulous script notes and once halted production over a single line he deemed illogical. Though married for decades, Lane's personal life was marked by emotional distance. Rumors suggested he cared more deeply for his cherished cat than his own children. He was respected for his work with the Screen Actors Guild, but regarded warily by many co-stars due to his harsh critique of what he called lazy emotional acting, famously dismissing Marlon Brando's performances as vomit on stage. A committed atheist, Lane once walked off a set prayer session, calling it an unnecessary sentimental illusion. While never embroiled in public scandal, his legacy remains complex, marked by sharp intellect, fierce independence, and undeniable emotional detachment. Charles Lane passed away on July 9, 2007, at the remarkable age of 102, outliving many of his detractors. Morris Manson, born January 31, 1913, played Mr. Timberlake in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 47. His character was dignified and discreet, yet off-screen, Manson's temperament was far less serene. Known for obsessive control issues, he frequently clashed with directors, rewriting lines and threatening legal action over perceived misinterpretations of his roles. His stage career declined sharply after a backstage altercation with a co-star in the late 1950s, quietly resolved through studio mediation. Born with the surname Levine, he adopted Maurice Manson to craft a more acceptable Hollywood identity and to distance himself from a turbulent past in Toronto, which included gambling debts and a paternity lawsuit. Twice married, both unions ended amid legal battles over finances and accusations of emotional abuse. In his later years, Manson lived reclusively and nearly friendless, burdened by unpaid debts and a growing paranoia of being forgotten. He died on September 21, 2002 at age 89 due to heart complications. Charles Watts, born October 30, 1912, played Ballard Fillmore in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at approximately 48 years old. His character, a rigid bureaucrat, reflected Watts's real-life reputation as a cold and strict individual, often difficult to work with. Colleagues derisively nicknamed him the chronic perfectionist. His habitual disdain for younger actors frequently earned official reprimands, and a notorious on-set outburst during a 1958 comedy led to a quiet industry blacklist. While his publicists denied alcoholism, rumors leaked photographs of him leaving bars late at night suggested otherwise. Watts's personal life was troubled. A brief marriage ended in scandal when his wife accused him of financial deceit and secretly cohabiting with a lover in Pasadena. He never remarried. Charles Watts died suddenly on December 13, 1966, at age 54, from a stroke, closing a life marked more by tension and self-destruction than by fame. Robert B. Williams, born September 23, 1904, portrayed the affable Mr. Dorfman in Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 55. While his on-screen persona was cheerful and amiable, Williams was known behind the scenes for a sharp tongue and a cold demeanor. Despite appearing in over 100 productions, he remained confined to supporting roles, a source of deep frustration. Rumors of on-set disputes and drinking were common. On one occasion, a young assistant filed a complaint regarding his inappropriate remarks, though the matter was swiftly dropped. His marriage deteriorated in the 1960s amid accusations of emotional cruelty, leading to estrangement from his only child, who later spoke of years of neglect. In his final decade, Williams battled debilitating arthritis, while accepting minor roles, gradually retreating into isolation. He rarely appeared in public and obsessively rewrote unpublished memoir drafts. Robert B. Williams died on June 17, 1978 in Orange County at age 73, leaving behind a fading name and a legacy tinged with bitterness. Bob Hastings, born April 18, 1925, portrayed Coach Gilmore in Dennis the Menace in 1961 at the age of 36, bringing a charming and cheerful presence to the role. Behind the spotlight, however, Hastings led a complex life marked by backstage maneuvering and covert rivalries within the entertainment industry. While widely admired by fans, some voice actor colleagues described him as a ruthless competitor who often belittled others to secure roles and lobbied producers to blacklist rivals. In 1977, a scandal involving allegations of harassment by a young radio assistant surfaced, but was quietly dismissed after the accuser withdrew her statement, reportedly under pressure from Hastings' agent. His personal life was also turbulent, with persistent rumors of extramarital affairs, one of which reportedly sparked an on-set altercation that temporarily halted production. Though these issues rarely reached the public eye, they circulated as industry gossip. Bob Hastings passed away on June 30, 2014, at age 89 from prostate cancer, leaving a legacy respected by fans, but viewed with a mixture of admiration and caution among peers. Alan Hewitt, born January 21, 1915, played Alistair St. Clair in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 45. Hewitt's character exuded authority and charm, offering a polished, courteous, and modest contrast to the neighborhood's chaos. Behind this composed facade, however, Hewitt was a bitter and complex figure. Known for championing actors' rights, he was also involved in intense disputes with producers, culminating in his blacklisting after a well-publicized on-stage quarrel on Broadway in the late 1950s. Never married, Hewitt was the subject of rumors regarding failed engagements and deep envy toward the success of others. He was criticized for surreptitiously rewriting co-stars' lines and was banned from working at 2 theater companies due to his arrogant behavior. In later years, Hewitt was haunted by paranoia, convinced that others were sabotaging his auditions. He died on November 7, 1986, at age 71 from cancer. Helen Klebe, born January 6, 1907, portrayed Mrs. Holland in Dennis the Menace in 1959, at age 52, radiating warmth and kindness on screen. Off-screen, however, Klebe was a guarded and emotionally distant individual. Her marriage to actor George N. Nyssa appeared outwardly stable, but was marked by coldness behind closed doors. Klebe frequently withdrew into silence and exhibited obsessive ritualistic behaviors. Early in her career, she suffered a nervous breakdown following an unsuccessful Broadway debut, a fact she never publicly disclosed. Her professionalism masked a deep fear of rejection, manifesting in compulsive hoarding of scripts and obsessive reviews of her performances, fixating on perceived failures unnoticed by others. Helen Klebe passed away quietly on December 28, 2003 at age 96, remembered for her resilience, but also a profound loneliness driven by relentless perfectionism. Will Wright, born March 26, 1894, played Mr. Merivale in Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 65, portraying an eccentric yet warm-hearted character. Despite this on-screen charm, Wright's personal life was far from serene. Known for his approachable demeanor, he also had a volatile temper and was prone to throwing scripts during rehearsals. His career was shadowed by scandal, most notably a 1953 investigation into a high-stakes Hollywood poker ring that led to his quiet blacklisting by major studios, despite no formal charges. Wright endured 2 turbulent marriages. His second ended amid allegations of emotional cruelty and infidelity, including rumors of a relationship with a young actress who subsequently disappeared from the industry. Though beloved for his curmudgeonly roles, Wright's legacy is tinged with tension, secrets, and regret. He died of cancer on June 19, 1962 at age 68. Walter Reed, born February 10, 1916, portrayed a broadcaster in Dennis the Menace in 1961 at age 45. Despite his calm and dependable on-screen presence, Reed's career was profoundly impacted by blacklisting during the Red Scare era. He was accused of communist affiliations due to a brief relationship with a blacklisted screenwriter. Although he consistently denied these allegations, Reed was gradually relegated to supporting roles in voice work. During this period, he developed alcoholism, resulting in 2 arrests for public intoxication incidents that were discreetly managed by his representatives. His marriage to model Barbara Lee ended amid rumors of infidelity and his growing obsession with conspiracy theories related to the entertainment industry. In later years, Reed left Hollywood to pursue a career in coastal real estate and devoted time to writing unpublished memoir, where he openly criticized what he termed industry betrayers. Walter Reed passed away on August 20th, 2001, at age 85 from heart failure, leaving behind a complex legacy marked by both talent and bitterness. Norman Levitt, born December 1st, 1913, played the character Brown in Dennis the Menace in 1959 at age 46. Brown was portrayed as a clumsy yet kind-hearted figure who supported Dennis's on-screen image. Off-camera, however, Levitt battled severe depression, a struggle he kept hidden from the public. His career sharply declined after being dismissed mid-season from a comedy show in 1964 due to emotional instability. Though married at a young age, his marriage dissolved after his son publicly accused him of being a cold and unaffectionate father. In his later years, Levitt resided in a care facility, suffering from progressive dementia and largely forgotten by the industry he once served. He died from complications related to dehydration and dementia on December 11, 2005 at age 92. Forrest Lewis, born November 5, 1899, portrayed Mr. Prince in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 61. While his character radiated warmth and cheerfulness on screen, Lewis was privately haunted by vague resentments and obsessive tendencies. A former stage actor with Broadway ambitions, he never achieved the level of fame he desired. Lewis struggled with jealousy toward younger actors and reportedly sabotaged auditions he believed were unfairly taken from him. Married 3 times each ending bitterly, he became estranged from 5 children, 2 of whom publicly disowned him. A lifelong gambling addict, Lewis lost his home in the 1950s and lived in rented accommodations, frequently avoiding creditors. His harsh criticism of crew members caused multiple on-set conflicts, including one incident that led a props assistant to quit mid-season. Despite a lengthy and varied career, Lewis died in poverty and obscurity on June 7, 1977, at age 77. Molly Dodd, born November 11, 1921, appeared as Lillian Sweetser in Dennis the Menace in 1960 at age 39. Beneath her quirky on-screen persona, Dodd's personal life was marked by turbulence and difficulty. Her marriage to writer Henry Farrell, author of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, was fraught with rivalry and manipulation, accompanied by frequent arguments and her increasing reliance on prescription medication. During the 1970s, Dodd declared bankruptcy and suffered from undiagnosed bipolar disorder, experiencing hallucinations related to scripts and accusing producers of stealing her ideas. Her final years were isolated, characterized by frequent emergency room visits and volatile behavior at auditions. Molly Dodd passed away on March 26, 1981, at age 59. Although the exact cause of death was never disclosed, many suspected a drug overdose. Her funeral was sparsely attended, leaving behind the image of an actress fading into Hollywood's shadows, overlooked and misunderstood. How do you feel knowing that many actors from Dennis the Menace have passed away? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.